Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's about 4:15 on October 30th, 2013. Let me read this to you, then we'll get right to it. The website and the video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. And I am not a licensed financial professional, just a guy that draws lines on charts. Let's take a look. Okay, looking at a 30-minute chart, you can see that my little speculative support line gave way today. And as a matter of fact, not only did it give way, even though this was just an idea, and really it's based on only two things, the starting point being the low of October 9, and that it be extended parallel to this top line. That's the whole thing. And instead of getting a bounce on touching this line today, it broke. As a matter of fact, if you look at the way it broke, it did so in pretty much line-breaking fashion. In other words, the initial break was a little weak, then it back-tested, and then, at least as compared to what we had been seeing in the past 5 days, with the exception of what we saw right here, the S&P gave up a very quick, about 12 points, just immediately within just probably 15-20 minutes. Just gave up a fairly good bit of ground, nothing huge. But where did we bounce? Well, we bounced on what was the neckline of this very small inverted head and shoulders pattern. And well, I need to point this out too. When we measure this pattern and we put it on the area where it broke out, we got a expected minimum target of about 1775. Actually, it was a little higher than 1775. And if we look at where the S&P opened, well, actually sort of closed yesterday. Excuse me. This green candle is this morning. If you look at where the S&P opened, we opened almost exactly at that 1775 and very small change, and then immediately started giving back some ground. So I look at that sort of with mixed feelings. I'm glad that this small inverted head and shoulders pattern, even though it looked a little strange, that it did what we would expect it to do. But I hate the fact that this line right here did not produce a bounce. So, going forward, we've got a couple of things to consider now, and it's really all in terms of, I think, trend line resistance and support. And to make a long story short, and we've seen this a number of times, but to simplify things, if there is a line above us, that's going to be resistance. If there's a line below us, that's going to be support. Plain and simple. This line broke today. It did not break by a technically significant 1% margin, but I'm basing the break more on the behavior here. So this break looks to be of technical significance just by virtue of the fact that it broke, pulled back, and then really sold off pretty swiftly after that, which is kind of typical behavior. So I'm going to do one thing to this chart here, since we talk about support and resistance levels. I don't know that this is going to come into play, but there's a neckline right there. We have our rising turquoise trend line, and then we've got that blue line that we're over. So really, as it stands right now, looking at this chart, we've got this old neckline from this pattern back here, which really I don't think is going to come into play. So I'm going to back that off. So what it looks like is that we came up off this turquoise, came down, set a new high, and now it just looks like like the market needs another breather. I'm not prepared at this point to say that this is an ominous sign and that we should look for the end of this very impressive bull run that we've had. Frankly, that wouldn't end because it's almost a year long, not quite. That wouldn't end until we take out 1700. And frankly, I would have a hard time getting my head around right now us getting down to that point at this moment in history, because we just took out what appears to be a fairly important line drawn over the last three tops. They don't line up perfectly, but this is a pretty good approximation of where that line would be. And again, it's based more upon the last two tops than it is the one that's off to the left here. I'm letting that one be a little bit I'm letting that one poke up above it just a bit, going by the two most recent tops. So we're still over this. So and we have not hit any of the long-term resistance lines that have been in this chart for a while. We've got this red one here, and we've got this purple one right here. We haven't gotten really close to any of those yet. So I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel and say that the breaking of this little blue line that really was just pure speculation to begin with. But I still think probably speculation with a decent enough reason to put it up here. And again, by the way it broke, back tested, and then started to sell off again, it looks like maybe this was not a bad decision to put this here. Now, let's move in on a 3-minute chart and see if we can discover anything that might help us with regards to a short-term change of direction. Let's even do a 2-minute. One thing I want to show you is we came down pretty hard, then started to rally up in a series of little waves, and often, as you know, we do that and we end up forming a bear flag. And it is possible that not only did we form a bear flag today, but that flag broke down fairly late in the session, actually with just probably about 15 to 20 minutes left in the trading day. And if that's the case, then we would know tomorrow, because we would likely see some selling pretty much right off the bat, or at least very early in the session. Now, it's interesting too that 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these little peaks line up, whereas this move right here does not. So I'm going to make this kind of a light gray. I'm going to make this my bear flag color, which is light blue. And coming in tomorrow, we'll just need to keep an eye on it and see if we come back down, if this little neckline holds again, or if we get some strength at some point, if this apparent resistance line were to break, then that could signal that this is just a momentary break in the action. So guys, that's the video for October 30th, 2013. Our little guess of a support line. And we see we did get a couple bounces on it before it broke. But then when it broke, it gave way. In like I said, with more typical, this is a broken line action. So you can kind of understand sometimes when I say, well, this line broke, but it just didn't look like a break. This is more indicative of a break. So guys, there you have it. I don't think the wheels are coming off, but clearly the S&P is telling us it's time for probably another breather of sorts and maybe a day or two of selling pressure. So let's just keep watching it together. Thank you for your support and for your time.